On September the 7th, 2012, Lyon Turnbull are delighted to be selling the famous collection of Donald and Eleanor Taffner. It will be an unmissable event for all those interested in Scottish art, and in particular, the work of Charles Rennie Mackintosh and his circle. The collection is being brought to Scotland from the Taffners' home in Greenwich Village, New York, and will be auctioned at Lyon Turnbull in Edinburgh. Theirs is the quintessential American success story. Donald and Eleanor Taffner were television royalty and were responsible for bringing such television shows to the American public as Three's Company, Too Close for Comfort, and The Benny Hill Show. They were also responsible for classic British productions such as My Family and As Time Goes By. In the early 1980s, the Taffners were introduced to the work of Charles Rennie Mackintosh and the Glasgow style. They started to collect the work of this period with energy and determination. It was no passing fancy, and their interest extended not just to owning the art, but to supporting and nurturing its reputation, both in Scotland and internationally.
Thanks to the support of the Taffners, Glasgow School of Art was able to promote its Mackintosh heritage during the late 1980s, early 1990s. And this saw the art school's collections being seen on international exhibitions and allowed really the school's heritage to be known to a much wider audience. Not only did the Taffners actively get involved in purchasing Mackintosh pieces through galleries and dealers, but they were also very supportive of students, and they took great delight in purchasing work from graduating students, and they just enjoyed seeing the delight of a student's face when their piece of work had been bought by an American couple.
Charles Rennie Mackintosh produced a series of remarkable watercolours, of which the Taffners collected several superb examples. There are over 100 items to be offered from the Taffners collection on September the 7th, and one of the undoubted highlights is a beautiful group of these watercolours by Mackintosh.
The Taffners were very fortunate in that they were collecting at a time when a lot of Glasgow-style material came onto the market. They collected across the board. At the core of the collection was, of course, Mackintosh with three wonderful watercolours, but they bought J.C. King and Annie French and wonderful pieces by Frances MacDonald, who was Mackintosh's sister-in-law. The earliest of the late watercolours that they have is White Tulips, and one of the first pictures Mackintosh painted in his new career as an artist after he left Glasgow and settled in London about 1915. And that was followed by Yellow Tulips, a wonderful painting set in his studio in Glebe Place in Chelsea. And shortly after painting Yellow Tulips, Mackintosh moved to the south of France, where he painted a series of 40 or 50 watercolours, one of which is here in the Taffner Collection, Boule Tonnerre, one of the most striking of the group.
The sale will also include a group of wonderful early watercolours by Frances MacDonald.
Frances MacDonald, as I say, was Mackintosh's sister-in-law, and she was probably the most talented of the Glasgow-style watercolourists outside Mackintosh. The Taffners had two wonderful paintings, The Frog Prince, which had disappeared from view for many years until they bought it about 20 years ago, and Girl with Blue Butterflies, one of the largest Glasgow-style watercolours now known. There have been numerous Glasgow-style collectors over the years, and the value of this Taffner collection is that it concentrates very much on works on paper and has preserved and brought together a fantastic overview of what the Glasgow style was about.
Donald and Eleanor didn't restrict their collecting to works from the Glasgow School, but also collected works by the Scottish Colourists and a fine late work by Sir John Lavery with an interesting subject.
The painting by Sir John Lavery of Shirley Temple was painted in Hollywood in the 1930s, and of course is a portrait of that childhood film star. She first appeared on the stage when she was only 3 and retired at the ripe old age of 21. She also had an interesting political career, was the UN ambassador for Richard Nixon and ambassador to Czechoslovakia for George Bush. So you've got a nice combination of an important sitter and an important artist, and it's sure to create a lot of interest not only in the States, where the sitter comes from, but also in Ireland, where the artist comes from.
As well as the remarkable paintings, The collection includes furniture and works of art from the turn of the last century. A striking pair of armchairs made for Mackintosh's greatest patron, Kate Cranston, and rare silver cutlery commissioned from Mackintosh by the director of the School of Art, Fra Newbury. Donald and Eleanor Taffner made an extraordinary contribution to Scotland's cultural heritage. On September the 7th, there is a unique opportunity to acquire some of the very best of that heritage. Please register your interest now at lyonandturnbull.com.